Hello, and thanks for joining us. I'm Madeline Carter. Seattle is officially on the clock for the FIFA World Cup. Lumen Field will host 6 matches during the 2026 tournament, bringing some of the world's biggest soccer nations right here to the Emerald City. The action kicks off June 15th with Belgium taking on Egypt. Then on June 19th, Team USA faces Australia in what's expected to be one of Seattle's biggest matches of the tournament. Seattle will also host Qatar versus Bosnia and Herzegovina on June 24th, followed by Egypt and Iran on June 26th. Once group play wraps up, the knockout rounds arrive in Seattle with a round of 32 match on July 1st and a round of 16 showdown on July 6th. Fans are expected to pour into downtown Seattle throughout the tournament as the city becomes one of the major host sites for the World Cup. Over the next hour, we're going to take a look at everything you need to know ahead of the matches in Seattle, from the transformations to Lumen Field and Pioneer Square, to how law enforcement is planning to keep fans safe, and even a little refresher on the rules of the game. But first, let's break down the matches that will be held right here in Seattle.
It all begins with Belgium and Egypt. Belgium enters as the favorite. The Red Devils have looked sharp in their World Cup tune-ups, posting wins over the United States, Croatia, and Tunisia, while earning a draw against Mexico. Their experienced roster is anchored by goalkeeper Thibaut Courtois and stars Kevin De Bruyne and Romelu Lukaku. Lukaku is Belgium's all-time leading goal scorer with 89 international goals. After battling injuries this season, he returned earlier this month and found the back of the net against Croatia. Now, for the Egyptian squad. The Pharaohs are making their 4th World Cup appearance and are training in Spokane at Gonzaga. Egypt enters the tournament after a mixed result of friendlies, including a win over Russia, a scoreless draw with Spain, and a 4-0 victory over Saudi Arabia. They're led by captain and forward Mohamed Salah, who enters the tournament just 2 goals shy of Egypt's all-time scoring record, a mark held by head coach Hassam Hassan. The host nation takes the field in Seattle on June 19th. Team USA opens against Australia, a team it defeated 2-1 in a friendly just last October. After reaching the round of 16 in each of their last 3 World Cup appearances, expectations are even higher this time around. The Americans are led by Mauricio Pochettino, who's been the head coach since 2024. Veteran defender Tim Ream captains the team. At 38 years old, he's the oldest player ever to appear for the United States at a Men's World Cup. He knows the kind of work that needs to be done.
It's a once-in-a-career opportunity. With that comes, more expectation, more pressure, but at the same time, we have to enjoy it.
Back in the lineup is Christian Pulisic, who returned to the national team last fall after missing the summer slate. In goal, Pochettino has yet to name a starter between Matt Freese and Matt Turner.
The U.S. has a great goalkeeping core historically. I was a fan of that goalkeeping core for much of my life, still am, and so it's an honor to be on this team and be part of that group.
Seattle fans will also have a familiar face to cheer for. Sounders midfielder Christian Roldan makes his 2nd straight World Cup roster.
Character, effort, application of training. He's a smart soccer player. We couldn't be more proud of him.
Now for Australia. The Socceroos have reached the World Cup 7 times, but have never advanced beyond the round of 16. Australia enters after a narrow loss to Mexico and a draw with Switzerland in its most recent friendlies. Head coach Tony Popovich has assembled a roster featuring a mix of veterans and 17 World Cup first-timers. Goalkeeper Matthew Ryan and Matthew Leckie are both headed to their 4th World Cup. Meanwhile, 18-year-old Lucas Harrington completes a rapid rise to his first World Cup squad, alongside Christian Volpato, who switched his international allegiance from Italy to Australia just days before the roster announcement. On June 24th, it's Qatar versus Bosnia and Herzegovina. This marks Qatar's 2nd World Cup appearance after hosting the tournament in 2022. They're considered the underdogs of Group B, but will lean on experienced leaders, including all-time leading scorer Al-Moez Ali, veteran striker and captain Hassan Al-Haidous, and keeper Mashal Basham. The 28-year-old won Golden Glove honors during Qatar's run to the 2023 AFC Asian Cup title. Bosnia and Herzegovina is also making its 2nd World Cup appearance, eyeing its first ever knockout stage berth this summer. The roster is headlined by veteran striker Edin Dzeko, who has scored 73 international goals across a professional career spanning more than 2 decades. In its 2nd and final group stage match in Seattle, Egypt takes on Iran on June 26th. Despite being regional neighbors, the 2 nations have only played twice before. Their last match was in 2000. Iran brings one of the tournament's most experienced rosters, led by star forward Mehdi Taremi. He's one of nearly a dozen players on the squad with 50 or more international appearances.
Most of the matches are in the middle of the day, and you will see a big impact on traffic. Take a look at this map here. Road closures stretch from Pioneer Square to T-Mobile Park. This will only be on match days, starting several hours before kickoff and lasting several hours after the games. Keep in mind, you will not be able to park on the street in these areas, even if you live there. To help you get around, King County Metro has launched a free waterfront shuttle. Those rides are free between several key destinations, including the Seattle Center, Lumen Field, and the waterfront. This shuttle will run every 15 minutes from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. through Labor Day. On match days, it will run every 10 minutes. We have a complete World Cup guide waiting for you right now on the King 5 app. You can just scan this QR code here on your screen for everything from fan fests and road closures to match schedules, transit info, and what to expect across Seattle. King 5's Jim Nelson talked to the owner of the Hall in Pioneer Square about these neighborhood changes. Here's what to expect.
Any given Mariners game day might as well be the pregame to the big game. Well, game.
This is different. It's
Okay, matches.
football, it's soccer, right? There's a different crowd, so we don't know what to expect.
For starters, traffic. The city is slowly preparing Pioneer Square to go carless.
It's hard to decipher what it really means. Of course, it blockades cars and everything.
Jim Knopf lives on the edge of Seattle's matchday pedestrian zone. On those 6 days, cars will be banned from most Pioneer Square streets for several hours. No parking starts at 2 a.m., even for people who live inside the zone.
We can't figure out why we don't have access to parking that we need.
Logistically, we're kind of in a waiting pattern for what streets will be closed and how everything's going to work as we get closer.
Gary Zaretti is the co-owner of the Hall on Occidental beside Lumen Field. During the closures, even delivery drivers are banned. A different bar owner told me he has no idea what they're supposed to do, but Zaretti is more confident.
The city has been very cooperative and really making sure we know what the specifics are with getting deliveries and doing those things, and they've done a great job. For me, the biggest thing is that we present our city well.
Oh, it's going to be fun.
I love this area.
It's transitional. You know, it moves Seattle one notch up on the ladder.
Even so, Knopf is content to watch from the sidelines.
Well, you know, I'm going to hide out.
So with all of that space, the city will be allowing outdoor seating and sales. I should also point out that scooters, e-bikes, bicycles will be allowed inside the car-free zone. However, they'll be limited to just 8 miles per hour. Normally they get up to about 12 or 15. At least that's how fast I get them going around here. Live in Seattle, Jim Nelson, King 5 News.
Up next, we break down the game of soccer with a 101 crash course, plus the players to watch. Welcome back. With millions of fans expected to tune in and more people taking an interest in the world's most popular sport, understanding the rules of soccer can sometimes be as challenging as the game itself. From offsides and stoppage time to yellow cards and penalty kicks, here are the basics every fan should know.
A standard match is 90 minutes, split into two 45-minute halves, plus what is called stoppage time at the end of each 45-minute half. Unlike most American sports, the clock actually counts up from 0, and it doesn't stop for every whistle. But the play on the field does pause for injuries, substitutions, goals, time wasting, and other factors. That lost time doesn't just disappear, though. At the end of each half, the referee adds stoppage time, sometimes called added time. You'll see the fourth official hold up a board, maybe a +3, a +5, even a +8 minutes, representing the time that was lost during that half. So the game doesn't end at exactly 90 minutes. It ends when the referee decides that added time has fully been played. So it's 45 minutes plus stoppage time, then another 45 minutes plus stoppage time. Most games finish somewhere between 95 and 100 minutes total. If you're new to soccer, here's how the field and the players are organized. Each team has 11 players on the field at a time, and they're split into 4 position groups. First, you've got the goalkeeper. They're the only player allowed to use their hands, but only inside the 18-yard box, also known as the penalty area. In front of the goalie are the defenders, usually 3 to 5 players. They stop the other team's attackers and try to win the ball back. Next, the midfielders. Think of them as the link between defense and offense. They run the most, help defend, and help create scoring chances. Up top are the forwards, sometimes called strikers or wingers. Their main job is simple: score goals. Teams can arrange these numbers differently. Like in this example, there are 4 defenders, 4 midfielders, 2 forwards, but it always adds up to 11. 1 goalie, a line of defenders, a group of midfielders, and the attackers up front. Every team uses different formations and strategies, but that's the basic makeup of the positions in soccer. Let's break down one of the most commonly confused rules in soccer: offside. The offensive team is moving the ball downfield, trying to score. At the exact moment of any pass, your teammate must have at least 2 defenders between them and the goal. Usually, it's 1 field player and the goalie. If your teammate is closer to the goal than the second to last defender when the pass is made, that's offside. Now here's an example of a similar play that was legal. When the ball is kicked right here, you can see the second to last defender is closer to the goal than the offensive player being passed to. So this is not offside. Just remember, it's not where the player is when they get the ball, it's where they are when the ball is passed. All right, that's offside. Now you can yell at the TV with confidence if a ref gets the call wrong. In soccer, not all fouls are the same. Think of it as a 3-level scale: careless, reckless, and excessive. First, the common foul. Maybe it's a mistimed trip or small push. The ref blows the whistle, awards a free kick, and that's it. No card. That's careless. Now, let's raise the level. A late tackle, a hard hit, or perhaps an intentional foul that stops a promising attack. That's reckless. The player gets a yellow card, a formal warning. If that same player gets 2 yellow cards in the same game, they are elevated to a red card and ejected from the match, and that player is automatically suspended from playing the next match. The highest level comes from violent conduct, a dangerous tackle or denying an obvious goal. That's dangerous or excessive. The player gets a straight red card and immediate ejection. And again, the player is out for the next match too. So remember, careless, reckless, excessive. No card, yellow card, or red card. That's the foul scale. And now you know exactly why the ref reached for their pocket. The play on the field suddenly pauses. The referee touches his ear and everyone just waits. There's a VAR review, they announce, and you might wonder, what on earth is VAR? Think of it as the booth review. Whenever there's a dispute about a call for an offside, a goal or no goal, or serious fouls where a red card might be warranted, they go to the VAR. VAR stands for Video Assistant Referee, and they are a person in a booth who helps the referee on the field to correct clear and obvious errors. When there's a VAR check in a match, you'll see the head referee jog over to a monitor and communicate with the VAR about the call in question. The head referee on the field always holds the final authority and makes the ultimate decision, but VAR is a tool for them to use to ensure the correct call is made. In soccer, one of the most intense moments in the game is the penalty kick. A penalty kick is awarded when a defending player commits a serious foul inside their own penalty area, also known as the 18-yard box. If you trip, push, or hold someone, or touch the ball illegally inside this area, the other team gets a penalty kick. The ball is placed on the penalty spot, 12 yards away from the goal. The offensive team will pick their penalty kick taker, and it's just the shooter versus the goalkeeper. Everyone else has to stand outside the 18-yard box. When the ref blows the whistle, the kicker gets 1 shot. If it goes in, it's a goal. If the goalie saves it or it misses, play continues. The only other time this happens is during a penalty shootout. During the knockout stage, if the score is tied after regulation, that's 90 minutes plus stoppage, and extra time, that's 30 minutes plus stoppage, the match will be settled with a penalty shootout. Each team selects 5 players to take the penalties, and the team with more goals is declared the winner. Shootouts finish as soon as one team has an insurmountable lead. If it's still tied after the 5 pairs of shots, the shootout progresses into additional sudden death rounds until one team finishes with one more successful try than the other. The first stage is called the group stage. 48 teams are separated into 12 groups, and the 4 teams in each group will play a round robin. 3 matches in total, with the top 2 teams from each group advancing to the knockout stage. Now, 8 of the 12 third-place teams advance as well based on tiebreaker rankings. The group stage will run from June 11th to June 27th. A 32-team knockout stage will then follow, with matches spanning for 3 weeks, starting on June 28th, as they advance round by round to the final on July 19th.
And while the matchups are set, it is the star power that could make this World Cup unforgettable. From global superstars to Seattle's own talent, some of soccer's biggest names are expected to take the pitch. Here's what you need to know about the players to watch.
One of the most exciting players to watch, you guessed it, number 10, Lionel Messi. He tops the list of one of the greatest to ever play the game of soccer. The 38-year-old was born in Argentina and represents his home country. He's played all over the world, Barcelona, Paris, and now he's playing right here in the U.S., playing for Inter Miami CF. Messi scored 116 international goals coming into the tournament and snagged a record 8 Ballon d'Or wins. And I think it all started on a napkin. That's where he signed his first contract. That napkin later sold at auction for nearly $1 million. And get this, he was actually named after Lionel Richie. Yeah, the singer. Apparently, it was his mom's favorite. Kylian Mbappe of France is a player to watch. He's representing his home country and right now plays for Real Madrid. Mbappe's 27 and has scored 56 international goals coming into the tournament. But he's really known for his incredible speed, often running faster than the world's top sprinters. He's also known for being a good guy, once donating his entire earnings from a major soccer competition to charity. He's an entrepreneur, one of the youngest owners of a pro football or soccer club in history, after buying a major stake into a French team when he was just 25. And take a good look. His nickname is Donatello. His former teammates think he looks like the character from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Cristiano Ronaldo is definitely a player to watch. At 41, Sports Illustrated called him the highest paid athlete in the world. He pulls in $225 million a year in salary and another $50 million in endorsements. He has 143 international goals coming into this tournament, a world record. He currently plays for Saudi Pro League Al Nassr, but the Portuguese native is going to represent his home country. At 15 years old, Ronaldo was diagnosed with a racing heart, requiring laser surgery. And get this, he returned to training just days later. And one more interesting note, unlike many of his fellow soccer players, Ronaldo doesn't have any tattoos because he regularly donates blood and plasma. Christian Pulisic is an American soccer star and definitely a player to watch. The 27-year-old is a winger for AC Milan and will represent the U.S. He has an impressive 32 international goals heading into the tournament. Back in 2019, he made history with his $73 million transfer, made him the most expensive American player ever. And soccer is a family affair. Both of his parents played in college. Outside of the game, Christian likes to play chess, even challenging some of the world's top players. And we hear he's a big chocolate guy. Makes sense. He was born in Hershey, Pennsylvania, the chocolate capital of the world.
And our very own Seattle Sounders midfielder Christian Roldan has been named to the U.S. men's national team roster for the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Roldan will appear in his second World Cup after previously representing the United States in Qatar in 2022. The longtime Sounders star will play on home soil this summer, including a group stage match at Seattle's Lumen Field and 2 matches near his hometown of Pico Rivera, California. Roldan has spent his entire MLS career in Seattle since joining the club in 2015, helping the Sounders win 2 MLS Cups and the 2022 CONCACAF Champions Cup. The call-up, it comes after Roldan dealt with concussions and other health-related struggles following the 2022 World Cup. Seattle is transforming for the FIFA World Cup, from Lumen Field turning into Seattle Stadium to the iconic Space Needle getting a facelift. We're going to take a look at some of the changes after the break. Well, the city of Seattle has seen many changes in preparation for the World Cup, including the iconic Space Needle. The landmark got a bit of a makeover ahead of the World Cup. Come and check this out. The top of the Space Needle has been transformed into a giant soccer ball as the city welcomes hundreds of thousands of visitors for the games. Crews worked from 600 feet above Seattle Center to apply this design, and it was as people were up there enjoying the view. The World Cup officially kicked off Thursday in Mexico City. Remember, Seattle is hosting 6 matches starting June 15th between Belgium and Egypt. And that is just one of many transformations taking over the city right now. Since FIFA has strict rules on sponsorship, Lumen Field is now known as Seattle Stadium during the World Cup. I took a look at some of the early changes right when the fences started going up around the stadium.
In SoDo,
this is definitely new within the last week or so.
The changes were turning heads as people walked to Tuesday night's Seattle Mariners game. And for some of the smallest fans,
my brother could hit a fly ball taller than that fence.
The large fences lining Lumen Field were pretty hard to miss.
They're pretty good. I hope they're not electric.
Nope, just part of FIFA fever.
I think they're just shutting that off construction property. Yeah.
Behind the fences, that's exactly what was going on. Crews, construction equipment, and the first real signs that the World Cup is starting to take over the stadium. The barriers are part of the security buildup ahead of the global event. And once the fences went up, they made another change stand out. Something was missing.
It's interesting that they're not allowing it to be called Lumen Fields. I think it's got to be called Seattle Stadium or something.
Sure enough, the name change has already started, with Lumen disappearing from signs around the stadium. Under FIFA's no sponsorship rules, Lumen Field will temporarily become Seattle Stadium, just one part of a $19.4 million World Cup transformation that also includes a brand new natural grass field. And all of it is only just beginning. Inside and out, this place is going to look a lot different come June.
Having a world stage to show the spotlight of beautiful Seattle is going to be awesome.
The FIFA World Cup is expected to bring thousands of visitors and a lot of attention to our city. But before the first match is even played here, the city has already spent millions of dollars to prepare for this global event. King 5's Bridget Chavez takes a closer look at the cost of hosting the World Cup and who stands to benefit financially.
Seattle is about to become a World Cup city. 6 matches, a global spotlight, and so far, nearly $32 million in city spending before the first whistle.
What does this do for Seattle 10 years from now?
Dr. Natalie Welch runs Seattle University's MBA program in sports and entertainment. She says the cost of hosting can go well beyond the stadium.
Most estimates say it's going to be $100 to $200 million per city.
For Seattle, that means police, fire, transportation, cleanup, emergency planning, and public services needed to handle World Cup-sized crowds. This isn't just about what Seattle pays, but who profits once the tournament arrives.
FIFA gets all the sponsorship, they get all the revenue from the ticket sales.
FIFA's own budget shows 2026 is expected to bring in nearly $9 billion in revenue, including $3.9 billion from TV rights, $3 billion from hospitality and ticket sales, and $1.8 billion from marketing rights.
The city, we don't have a kind of a direct revenue stream.
That's why Welch says big crowds don't automatically mean a big return for taxpayers.
Even hotels and restaurants, right? That's not going necessarily right back into the city. It's going to Hilton or other corporations.
That's the difference between money moving through Seattle and money coming back to Seattle. Welch says that's where cities have to look beyond the crowd size.
Those economic impact reports talk about, all this money coming into the city, but you also have to think about like it's always an opportunity cost of what are you giving up?
Thousands of people have been helping get the city ready. More than 34,000 people applied to volunteer for the tournament here in Seattle, but only about 1,900 were selected. Those volunteers picked up their official FIFA gear a few weeks ago, and they're now preparing to welcome fans from around the world. King 5's Brady Wakayama shows us how they're getting ready to help put Seattle on the global stage.
We just want to make sure that everyone that comes into Seattle feels the warmth and hospitality that we have to offer.
Seattle is getting ready to welcome the world and the global game.
For a world-class event, you have to be a world-class city, and we have some world-class volunteers. I'm really excited for the world to meet Seattle.
With the FIFA World Cup weeks away, the city's team off the field is already stepping up. On Wednesday, we met the volunteers who will help bring 6 matches to life here in the Emerald City.
Just being part of the FIFA World Cup is just a dream come true.
I think it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to have it in your host city, my hometown, so it was a great opportunity to get involved, see a little bit more behind the scenes and how it works, and support Seattle looking good.
For the past 10 days, volunteers have been reporting to the Seattle World Cup HQ in Pioneer Square, checking in and picking up their official FIFA gear. We're talking full uniforms, shirts, jackets, shoes, hats, crossbody bags, all branded for the global stage.
It's very colorful. It just speaks of FIFA and speaks of the World Cup.
Hopefully this represents a great memory, something to wear every once in a while. I'm probably not going to be wearing vibrant blue pants on any given day, but yeah, something I can share with the family and pass down too.
More than 34,000 people applied to volunteer in Seattle. Only about 5% made the cut. Roughly 1,900 people selected.
Put a good foot forward and then got the email that, yeah, assigned, accepted, passed the background checks and everything else, so I got to participate. It was fun.
Volunteers will be stationed across the city, from transit hubs to fan zones to stadium gates. They'll be the first faces fans see, from kickoff to the final whistle.
I think it's going to be wild. You know, you've seen it on TV before. It's never happened here before, so other than Club World Cup last year. But it's going to be great to see the hoopla in our own backyard and be a part of it and hopefully feel that energy throughout the city.
Coming up, we'll take a look at everything the city is doing to make sure everything around kickoff happens safely. Seattle Mayor Katie Wilson says a new FBI and Seattle police briefing has identified general but credible threats to safety and security during the World Cup. Because of that, Wilson says security cameras in the stadium district will now be activated during the tournament. She had previously said the cameras would remain off unless there was a credible threat. Wilson says the city will operate at a heightened risk level, and the cameras will help officials quickly establish situational awareness if needed. Wilson says the city will continue to refine policies designed to protect privacy, civil liberties, and data security. Earlier this week, federal and local law enforcement, they detailed some of the protective measures being taken for the tournament. King 5's Brady Wakayama has more.
Outside of Lumen Field, which will soon be known as Seattle Stadium. Now, a week from today, tens of thousands of people will be packing this area. And as we inch closer to that first match, first responders say they're ready and they're focused to keep everyone safe.
Safety has been our paramount focus since we started planning in 2023.
Planning years in the making, now moving into the final stage. Monday, FIFA organizers, Seattle Police, the King County Sheriff's Office, and the FBI showcased a massive security operation for the World Cup. $32.5 million in federal funding will pay for security services, with another $19 million invested in drone detection and mitigation. The agencies will deploy hundreds of officers and deputies each match day around the stadium, fan zones, and major transit hubs.
We are very grateful for the partnership, the resources, and the preparations of our government agencies. And we're ready. We're ready for the kickoff next week.
Meanwhile, a major shift from City Hall. Seattle will now switch on a network of surveillance cameras in the stadium district. Mayor Katie Wilson had previously said those cameras would stay off unless there was a specific threat. But after a new briefing from the FBI and SPD pointing to general but credible threats, she's now reversing course. On Sunday, the mayor explained the policy change.
So if we have information that someone intends to cause harm to people or property or a large event, right, and we believe that they have the means to carry that threat out. So again, for I hope obvious reasons, I'm not going to be giving details, but I was given a briefing that convinced me that there was enough of a credible threat that we should, and this is not surprising given an event of this magnitude, right?
On Monday, King 5 pressed the FBI and SPD for more details on that threat assessment.
I won't speak specifically to the decision to turn on cameras. That's outside my purview.
So the Seattle Police Department is supportive of Mayor Wilson's vision and direction with the surveillance cameras for FIFA. Regarding specifics as for rationale, I will refer you to the mayor's office for further comment on that.
We also checked in with people near the stadium who see both sides.
I understand why people wouldn't like them on 24/7. I get that. Maybe encroaching on their privacy.
If anything, God forbid that ever happens, we'll at least have the evidence to take whatever actions need to be taken. So I think cameras on will probably be the best solution, and I'll feel a little more secure and more safe.
And there are community groups within the city that are against Mayor Wilson's decision to turn those cameras on. They worry that it violates people's privacy, and they're also worried that it could be used by the federal government.
Thousands of Seattle workers are getting free training to spot human trafficking during the games. Recently, the City of Seattle, FIFA, and other community partners held a news conference to announce their commitment to preventing and policing human trafficking during World Cup play. They're working with local, state, and federal law enforcement. Seattle Police Deputy Chief Andre Sales says the stakes are high. Marination, a Seattle restaurant with locations near some of the heaviest expected foot traffic, put its staff through this training voluntarily, compensating employees for their time. Training was made available in English and Spanish to up to 2,500 employees at participating Seattle businesses. Here are some of the signs of human trafficking you should look out for. Someone who appears controlled by another person, who speaks for them, individuals who seem fearful or are unable to leave freely, a person who doesn't have their own ID, phone, or money, signs of physical abuse or neglect, and multiple people being transported or taken to houses in suspicious conditions. If you see something that just doesn't seem right, be sure to call the police. After the break, we're going to hear from Seattle Sounders head coach Brian Schmetzer on all things World Cup. Welcome back. Seattle Sounders head coach Brian Schmetzer joined Chris Egan and Paul Sylvie for King 5's Ultimate Seattle Sports Show to talk all things World Cup.
And Christian Roldan, 45 international cups. He's going to be playing for the U.S. World Cup team. You get the pleasure to watch Christian play a whole lot of soccer. In your mind, what makes him so special as a soccer player?
Well, character, effort, application of training. He's a smart soccer player, a really nice young man. We couldn't be more proud of him. You know, when we drafted him, you know, that story is still a good one. Garth Lagerwey at the time, I mean, we were down in 18th or 19th spot in the draft, and we wanted Christian, and Garth worked the whole room. He had to go to like 10 different teams to get him because his stock had dropped a little bit in the draft. But we knew even back then, because we scouted him when he was playing for the Huskies, and we knew exactly what we were getting, and he's had a tremendous career, collegiate level, professional level, and this World Cup, the two-up, 2022 as well. This is icing on the cake for Christian and the Sounders organization.
Hey, Brian, let's stick with the U.S. men's national team and the draw they have in group play. They get Paraguay, Turkey, and Australia here at Lumen Field. What do you think of the matchup for the U.S. men's team? Because, listen, the last 4 years getting ready for this World Cup has been a real challenge for this team.
Yeah, and look, there's a lot of hype. You know, was this the golden generation, the pressure from the fans, the subtle pressure? Because look, nowadays you can't escape social media. So those players are kind of listening, and, there's a subset of fans that, are negative and they don't like the results. But look, they had a positive result the other day, and they're going to play against Germany for their final tune-up game for the U.S., but tough group. Now, they've handled Paraguay before. Australia has some really talented players, and Turkey, I mean, it's not going to be a slam dunk just for them to get out of the group in first place. What I loved about the team, though, is that Pochettino got them going with the right amount of mentality. You guys have been around me long enough to know that I think duels and mentality and never quit and fighting, that's sort of the Sounders kind of way. And I'm glad that the American players and the coaching staff for the national team, they're buying into that. And that's what I think could take the U.S. on home soil in front of the, what are going to be really good crowds. That's going to get them going.
Yeah, you mentioned good crowds, and yes, Paul and I have worked with you for a while, and you are on my Mount Rushmore of Seattle coaches, and I know Joel Knipp, our producer, has his top 5 Sounders coming up. You are number 1 on my list. I'll just go ahead and put that out there right now.
It's like a teacher's pet, man.
Well, I am. I'm trying to get an A, Paul, but I'm going to just say this. Yeah. I mean, Brian has been around soccer his entire life, coaching, playing, and there's a reason why this sport is so big in the Pacific Northwest. So I'm leading you into the World Cup, and the World Cup being here in Seattle, and the U.S. will be playing here. kind of a two-part question. How big is that match going to be on a Friday night? And just as somebody that just is so invested in soccer and in the Pacific Northwest, what does it mean to have the World Cup here in Seattle?
Well, it's going to be a great event. You know, it's like the Super Bowl. It's such a big deal. You know, I always tell people the story of, you know, my own experience there. So back in '94, and I got to do a mea culpa because I've always had the teams kind of wrong. I had a gold and blue team, and I thought it was Sweden, but I had to look back on the internet which game I actually went to because that's how old I am. But we were down in Stanford Stadium, and we were watching Brazil play Russia, and two opposite countries, but it was great. And you know, the people coming out of the stadium, people coming together, and then we watched USA versus Colombia down in the Rose Bowl, 100,000 people. The U.S. won that game 2-1. I mean, those experiences are still with me, and I just hope that people will come to Seattle, which in June it's going to be beautiful out here. The weather's going to be great, and just have the same kind of life-changing experiences of what they saw or what they're going to see.
Yeah.
Hey, Coach, NBA fans are often asked Jordan or LeBron. Present-day soccer fans are asked Ronaldo or Messi. They're both awesome. I personally lean toward Ronaldo. I like the power players with all the athletic ability. Messi, more of a finesse guy. But how about you?
Well, it's an interesting dilemma because you said it, Paul. I mean, Ronaldo was maybe a better athlete, you know, taller, good in the air, you know, fast. Messi's tricky. He's got skills, technical ability. Well, you know, their technical ability is probably the same. You've got 8 Ballon d'Or winner. That's Messi. I think Ronaldo only got 5. But to me, the way I look at it, Messi was able to push Argentina over the line in 2022 in Qatar to actually win the World Cup. And I think that's the only thing that Ronaldo does not have on his resume. And I'm sure that's eaten at him. And, you know, Portugal's always been a decent team, maybe a dark horse in the running, but certainly what Messi did 4 years ago puts him probably just a little bit ahead of the curve for me. And look, he plays in MLS, and we beat him in the Leagues Cup last year. So, you know, I like Messi.
Okay, so you're right. Messi's got his one cup. Ronaldo's 41 years old. He's coming back with Portugal, which is currently ranked, I think, 5th in the FIFA standings. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see if maybe he can find some magic and win his first World Cup. So go ahead, Chris.
Well, I was just going to say, I was going to echo Brian. I mean, Messi was outplayed by Paul Rothrock, Paul. I was there. I watched it. I saw it up close. I mean, come on. Rothrock's got better hair. He played better on that day, Paul.
Yeah, on that day, on any given day. But look, Ronaldo's a tremendous player. Messi, we're talking about the 2 best, LeBron or Michael. You know, I get it. It would be icing on the cake for Ronaldo to have a deep run into this World Cup, you know, and then it'll keep the argument going on for a few more years.
Yeah, 970-plus goals. Hopefully he'll get to at least 1,000 and be the only one to get there, but leads everybody with that.
Watch more Sounders, Seahawks, and Mariners content on the Ultimate Seattle Sports Show. Paul Sylvia and Chris Egan stream it live weekdays at 10 a.m. on the King 5 app, and you can catch an encore at 8 p.m. on King 5 Plus. Up next, we'll get the player's perspective from former Seattle Sounder Lamar Nagel. Well, we heard a coach's perspective, but what about a player's? Here's former Seattle Sounder Lamar Nagel's predictions for the World Cup.
Lamar, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
All right.
I would have had my Thomas Jefferson T-shirt on today, Paul, if I knew Lamar was here.
We'll talk about Thomas Jefferson pride for sure, man. The former star, 3-year varsity man of Thomas Jefferson, I believe. So making it as a sophomore.
Championships.
That's right, man. It's awesome. 6 goals in 1 game once, I believe. So this guy was a stud back in the day. How excited are you to have World Cup games in Seattle?
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, to think that they're coming here, right? In '94, obviously, it was great. I was, 7 years old, 8 years old. But now to have a World Cup that you can actually go to in your city, let alone having to fly anywhere else. And to see, obviously, for me playing in the stadium that I played in, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, Lamar, the U.S. men's national team featuring Sounders captain Cristian Roldan, currently 17th in the FIFA rankings. U.S. plays Australia at Lumen Field a week from Friday, June 19th. What can we expect from the Americans in the World Cup? And kind of part two to that question, how special is it to see your friend Cristian Roldan out there on Team USA as well?
Yeah, I mean, it couldn't be more proud of the guy. Obviously, I was around, when he was at UW and coming, kicking with us, and then through his start with the Sounders and just seeing his rise to what he is now is amazing. And as all the reports say, couldn't have happened to a greater guy. I'm glad that he got the call up to the World Cup for this one, and hope to see him feature in a few, but we'll see. It's going to be amazing. What was the first question?
Just your thoughts on the USA's chances. I think there's a lot of people think they have a great chance to get out of stage play, but after that, it's going to be a tough one for them.
Yeah, you get out of stage play, and also, are you the first or second team getting out? So what's that next route look for you? But I think the U.S. has a good route into later rounds. Obviously, this group with Paraguay, Australia, and Turkey, I think we got a pretty good deal doing that. And so, I think their chances are really good. I would say, if we get to the quarterfinals, that's a pretty amazing run. I don't think people would be too surprised if we got that far. But to get any further would be such a huge win for the U.S. men's national team, especially with the sentiment kind of leading up to it. Who are they bringing? How are they doing? What's Pochettino doing? That sort of thing.
How you've played here a lot, and you've played in Lumen Field. What is that place going to be like on that Friday when the U.S. hits the field?
Yeah, it's hard to describe, going out to 70, 80,000 people in a stadium all cheering for you, because a lot of times when I was doing that, even when it was that many people, it was against Chelsea or Barcelona, and there was a lot of blue jerseys out in the stands when it was against Chelsea, and a lot of Barcelona jerseys out. But to see a fully American crowd, 70,000, 80,000 strong, will be absolutely phenomenal. The only game to be played outside of LA for the U.S. guaranteed. The first time anything like that has happened here in Seattle. It's going to be, it's going to be an amazing atmosphere. I can't wait to be in the stadium for that one.
Yeah, I'm just glad you brought up the fact that they have a pretty good advantage in group play. I mean, they're 17th in FIFA rankings. Turkey's in the 20s. Paraguay is upwards as well, and Australia's in the 20s as well. So they are the highest ranked team in their group. So there is a pretty good chance that they could advance out of group play. But let me ask you this: we get closer to. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say they are, and on paper, an amazing squad. I think the only thing for me is how much time have the players had together, on the field, and what is the connection like there. I think on paper we're absolutely amazing, but some of these teams that maybe have had the same players who have played, and maybe they have combinations of players that are on the same club playing together. That's very hard to replicate in a short amount of time. I think they did a great job in the last outing against Senegal and Germany, but that's the one worry is the consistency and the collaboration kind of just minutes playing together. Weston and Adams, Tillman, how does that all work together? Where does Pulisic fit in?
That is all the time we have. Don't forget, the action kicks off Monday, June 15th with Belgium taking on Egypt. Then on June 19th, Team USA faces Australia in what's expected to be one of Seattle's biggest matches of the tournament. Seattle will also host Qatar versus Bosnia and Herzegovina on June 24th, followed by Egypt and Iran on June 26th. Once group play wraps up, the knockout rounds arrive in Seattle with a round of 32 match on July 1st and a round of 16 showdown coming up on July 6th. Thanks so much for joining us.